All right. Hello and welcome everyone to Carnegie Mellon University's Campus Engagement Day. My name is Lindsay Luciano and I'm a career consultant in the Career and Professional Development Center. Today's session is going to feature speakers from programs at the university that prepare students for careers in design. Each speaker will present a little about their program and then we'll turn it over to the employers for Q&A. For the presentation portion, please keep your microphones muted and please save your questions for the Q&A. Thank you. And so at this time, I would like to introduce today's speakers. We have Dina Zanfali, hopefully joining us momentarily from the School of Design. And we also have Nicole Willis from the MHCI program. So Nicole, please go ahead and start us off.
Thank you so much, Lindsay, for that introduction, and welcome folks to this Campus Engagement Day. It's very exciting to be able to be here with you. Like Lindsay said, my name is Nicole Willis. I'm the Director of Student Affairs for the Masters of Human-Computer Interaction program here at Carnegie Mellon. And our program is a one-year professional program that is specifically designed. It was the first program started in as a Masters of HCI program back in 1994. And it's the longest running, we like to think, best program in the world. And it is a professional program that prepares our students to go into such careers as user experience designers, product designers, visual designers, depending on what kind of background the students come in with. And I wanted to just give you a little bit of background on our program and then different ways that you can engage with us. And then answer, we'll answer any questions that you all have. Our cohort sizes, our cohorts range from about 60 to 65. Our current cohort is an anomaly, thanks to COVID. We currently have 73 students in our cohort. Our cohorts are generally about 60, on the high end, 65 students. We pull students from around the world, which is pretty exciting. So we do end up with a very diverse cohort each year. Our cohorts for the last probably 7 years or so have been about 65 to 70% female, which is kind of an interesting place to be, especially when we sit in the School of Computer Science. So we pull different backgrounds. So we pull students from undergraduate and professional experience in research, in design, in computer science, and everything else in between. We have been recently recruiting a significant number of business majors, finance, international relations, and just about anything else that you could possibly think of. So different ways that employers and companies engage with us. We have a variety of ways that you can do that, from as simple as doing recruiting and offering information sessions. Some companies come in and offer workshops. We've done several multi-day workshops this year with some companies. And then our biggest draw happens to be our capstone, which is a 7-month project. Capstone projects run January to August, and it's a great way for companies to get involved with the program and work very closely with a team of cross-discipline students. Usually teams are 4 to 6 students. So it's a really great way to engage. And if anyone is interested in learning more about the different ways to engage, I would be happy to speak with you and connect you to our engagement manager. And that's just a little bit about our program here. And I'll hand it back to Lindsay now.
Excellent. Thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and have Dina speak for a little bit, and then we can move on to the Q&A. So Dina, thank you so much for joining us. Why don't you go ahead and take over and tell us a little bit about your programs in the School of Design.
Great. Hi, everyone. I'm Dina Zanfali. I am an assistant professor in the School of Design. I'm sorry I joined a few minutes late. I had some technical difficulties. I have like a quick slide presentation. I don't know, Lindsay, if that's okay.
Yes, you should have the ability to share your screen. Let me know if you run into any trouble.
Okay, great. So you can see the orange screen, right?
Yes.
So the School of Design is one of the oldest schools in the country, and also, of course, on the CMU campus. Usually we have several programs, undergrads, and also master's and PhD programs. We focus on designing for interactions on different levels, from the built world to for service design and design for social innovation. We are a leading school in transition design. This is where it all started. And like looking at like from just the built world to the whole natural world. I will show you a few pictures about the program. The undergraduate program, this is our first year studio. We usually accept 40 students. The students have to gain manual skills before even learning how to use a computer. So they, what we call pencils before pixels. And then we move them to like learning the design skills digitally as well, like with all the Adobe creative suites, and like how to communicate and design their ideas in 2 dimensions and 3 dimensions digitally. They jump immediately to making things. So like our students have like different skills from, we call them very multidisciplinary. We think through making and we learn through making. So this is like a very famous exercise where they build animals from their habitat out of recycled materials, endangered animals. Of course, like graphic design or communication design is a very strong aspect in our education and focus as well. Product design or industrial design. And environments, which is like hybrid environments. So if you are interested in working in the metaverse or augmented reality, or this is where the place we work on. Like I work a lot on augmented spatial experiences, using sound and augmented reality as well. Of course, user interactions is very important. So we do a lot of user research, a lot of teaching about user interactions and how students can design and communicate the user interaction as well. So how it works, how you set it up, what is the user experience is very important. We work on different scales. So as I mentioned, we look at like environments as well and hybrid environments. So where the digital meets the physical world. So this is like an example of one of the quick projects that we did in my studio, where this student created this stamp where like that once you touch the wall, it projects around it some shapes or something. We have also students working abroad or taking classes abroad. Usually senior year has a lot of community and client projects. So if you are interested in sponsoring a project that the students can work on during a whole semester, it's a perfect space for that. You have 40 undergraduate seniors well-trained to design a lot of wicked problems. And they work with communities on different levels as well. We have a senior show, which you are welcome to join and check on campus. Usually it happens in the spring, where students showcase all their work across the 4 years. As I mentioned, we work a lot also with communities. So this is one of the Hazelwood neighborhoods or projects in a church near the school. We have the master's program as well, which is very tech and industry focused. So the students have 1 year or 2 year project to work on, like program, to learn also like or enhance their design thinking skills, and work on a thesis as well. So this is also a great opportunity for you if you want to sponsor a course for students to work on your project. So you get like also 20 master's students and 2 professors working on your project for a very tiny fraction of what you would pay elsewhere. The students will gain the technical experience. We did projects with Microsoft, Google, where it's like a sponsored along the whole semester, but we could also work on half a semester project as well. So one of the examples is like designing, this is, for example, one of the projects the students like explored for the Natural Museum of Natural History, in the Carnegie Museum of Natural History here in Pittsburgh. Like, how might we design an interactive learning experience to help the museum transform passive visitors to active participants who make conscious choices in their daily lives. So and like here, like the students also design, as I mentioned, like augmented reality-based experiences for visitors for the museum. Sorry about that. If you worked with Siri or used Siri or Google Home or Alexa in your home, this is called an virtual user or a voice user interface. So we design, one of the main projects we work on is also like virtual user interfaces or voice user interfaces. And this is one of the projects, for example, that came out of the studio, where the students designed an assistant for Blue Apron. This is like a group of students like working on the project for a few weeks. I work on a few also like augmenting spatial experiences. So I work on installations for with the students for physical environments. This is like a recent installation that we created, where this is an interactive see-through mirror where you see what students are, what the space is remembering about the visitors in that space over time. So it's reflecting its memories as if the environment or the physical room you are in remembers you and other people as well. I will jump through this project, but I'm happy to share the the website about it. And here, this is the annual career fair. We call it Confluence, which happens usually in February. So if you're also interested in recruiting students or our graduates, this is the time of the year that we host it, and students, you can even interview students on campus. We have also Design Week, which happens in December, end of December, end of May, where students show their projects to visitors. It's a whole week of like going through studios, seeing the projects. And if you're interested in recruiting students, this is also the week for that. And I'm happy to have any questions or share more projects, my projects with the students or from the studio as well. And I will leave it to Lindsay.
Excellent. Thank you so much to both of our presenters. So at this time, you may place questions into the chat. You can also unmute your microphone and ask verbally as well. So we can take questions for either Nicole or Dina.
I have a question for Dina. Is that all right? Okay.
Yes, go ahead.
All right. I wanted to ask, you had mentioned you can do projects with the student. You said sponsor a course for a student to work on your project.
Yes.
So I guess so that's during like fall semester or spring semester, and then do they do it remotely or do they come to your company to work on it?
They work, it depends on funding, of course. So if there is a budget for travel, we do traveling. I remember like one of the projects that we worked on with Microsoft, we worked on campus, and then we selected a few projects and flew to Seattle for more project, like meeting with clients, of course, and introducing and presenting the project. But along the semester, we will be Zooming with the sponsor and sharing with them like updates, and the students will be presenting to them work in progress. This is how the students also work and learn through the semester.
So this is meant to not be like in person then? Like, as if we have some hands-on projects, it wouldn't be a good idea for this program?
You mean like on campus or with
like on site at our company? Like this summer, we have several CMU, summer interns who are here right now.
That's great. So yeah, like if it's during the summer, you can hire them as interns, or we can work semi-remote or hybrid with the company. But during the semester, the students—
It has to be remote. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
But we still can travel or do hybrid, like during the semester. Yeah.
Our projects are more, you have to be like here, hands-on. And then also, what's the background of the undergrad, like the degrees you offer are Master's, Science, and PhD?
Undergraduate, Masters, and PhDs.
Okay. And then that would be like, and your degree would be in, what would your degree be in? Like, what is it called?
It's in the Bachelor's of Science, Masters of Science, or Masters of Professional Studies as well. And the PhD is in Transition Design.
Transition Design. Okay. And the undergrads who go into that program, what's their major?
Design. So So it's within the School of Design, and the School of Design is one of the oldest design schools in the US. And especially like our hands-on program, if you are aware of the industrial design or the product design program, we are the oldest in the country. It's an 80 years old program.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I got my PhD at Carnegie Mellon in chemical engineering. So I had some friends in industrial design that were, but I didn't know a lot about the program. So I just wanted to check. Okay,
wonderful.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, we're gonna go on to the next question here. In the chat, they ask, how do you go about matching candidates to specific job opportunities? Does the employer have to request students with a specific major or experience, or does the career office essentially listen to what the job entails and then recommend the students? Please explain the process. So the way that we recruit students here at Carnegie Mellon, we use Handshake. That is our virtual platform where we ask employers to post positions. In Handshake, an employer can restrict the posting by major if they want. They can also restrict it by level, so bachelor's, master's, PhD. So you can restrict a posting however you want. If you don't want any restrictions, you could just leave it open, and then a student would have to apply to your position, and then you would go through an application review process and interview process. So there isn't any matching, so to speak, but we do use Handshake as the online platform. We encourage employers to have a profile on Handshake, to post positions in there, and then you can reach out specifically to departments or to the career office, and we can further advertise the positions in Handshake. So if an employer reaches out to me and says, I have something for design, I could push it to Nicole, I could push it to Dina, they will further advertise that Handshake posting. So that's just a specific answer for the jobs and job postings itself. And then I have another question here for Nicole and Dina. Can your students do summer internships remotely, or do you have summer internships available for remote teams? So do either of your students do remote internships? Do you want to speak to that?
Go ahead.
I'll go ahead and start because mine's going to be quick. MHCI does not have, because we are a one-year program, we are August to August, so there is no opportunity for summer internships. We do have undergraduate programs in HCI and PhD that may have summer internship opportunities that I would be happy to connect folks with those folks.
For us, yes, I would be happy to build, to work, to have the student to work with me as well while we are being remote. So we have several funding opportunities and also for credit. So for undergrads in particular, there are opportunities to work on research or projects just for credit from the university. And yeah, so I currently work with two juniors in my lab as well during the summer. And for master students, that's also, our program is 2 years. So usually during the summer, the students go and work on internships, remote or in person. So I also have 2 master students working remote while being in Pittsburgh as well, or one is in San Francisco, for example.
Excellent, thank you very much. All right, we do have another question here in the chat. Handshake has an option to select for levels, internships, recent grads, grad students, etc. What does alumni engagement with Handshake look like? And do you frequently see experienced alumni leveraging that platform? So we do not see as many alumni going back into Handshake. It is primarily for current students. Alumni are definitely allowed back in. They can go back in, and some of them do, but for the most part, the majority of them do not. So if you have positions for alumni or for more experienced candidates, some departments will run their own LinkedIn pages or LinkedIn groups where they can advertise some of those opportunities for alumni. You can also feel free to send those again to us, and we will forward them on to the departments or to departments directly if you are seeking more experienced candidates. But it would usually have to go through an alumni network or a LinkedIn group or something like that, where there's going to be candidates with more experience, and it wouldn't just be current students. Nicole or Dina, do either of you have direct experience with that?
I do. So we have a alumni list, a mailing list that we use. We also have an MHCI LinkedIn group. We are regularly pushing job notices to our mailing list if companies reach out to us, or they reach out to CPDC and those are forwarded to us. We are regularly sharing and amplifying things on LinkedIn if that's a platform that your company uses regularly. So I'm happy to connect and assist with that. So.
Excellent, thank you. I'm also going to throw another one out here. What is the best way to find opportunities for faculty collaboration? Dina and Nicole, can either of you speak to that?
Within the HCII, our engagement manager, Jessica Vogt, can certainly help with making some of those connections with our faculty. A lot of times she has a good beat on what faculty are working on and if they're working with external companies and looking for collaborators.
We have also our Associate Director of Institutional Partnerships. I am sharing his link here. You can reach out to him, and basically he collects all the interests or call for projects, and he forwards it to everyone. And this is not just of the School of Design, this is the whole College of Fine Arts. So this includes arts, drama, architecture, and music. So if you are also interested in a more multidisciplinary project that covers different areas, that's something that we could work on as well. Yeah, and
great, thank you.
I'll answer more questions, but I'm always happy to work with tech companies or companies in general for sponsored projects. It's a lot of fun, and I learn, and the students learn as well during it.
Great. All right, I've got two more questions here. The first is, what would you say differentiates students who graduate from your master's program versus other programs?
So I'm not the director of the graduate program, and I'm assistant professor in the school. I teach the master's students. From my own experience or observations, I love the multidisciplinarity and transdisciplinarity of our students. Our program focuses on storytelling, how they can communicate their design, their experience. The projects we work on is very related to the industry. So we, like most of our students, they graduate and work on tech companies and like in UX, UI. Some of them work on organization-oriented entities and NGOs. We get also students who already have a good experience in the industry, and they want to update their technical skills and design thinking skills. So we usually accept students who already have some work experience. We also have like the master's program, the MDes, what we call MDes. They work on a project for the second year as their master's thesis, and usually it's very related to a sponsor or a different or a specific organization. I will share the link about the program and let Nicole also explain more about their program.
Thank you.
So, I mean, when I get this question, a lot of times it's usually from prospective students who are comparing MHCI at CMU to the Masters of HCI program at Georgia Tech, or the MHCI plus D program at the University of Washington as examples. And honestly, whether we're comparing sort of internal within CMU or external to some of our bigger competitors, the biggest sort of difference is the pedagogical approach of the faculty and how they're approaching teaching and how they're presenting work and how they're creating community and engagement in their classrooms. And so it's very similar within CMU, because CMU has this this flavor of cross-functional teams that are diverse, that are pulling from a broad range of backgrounds, whether it's undergraduate or master's. For our MHCI program, sometimes we have cohorts that are, more than 50% of folks that have, more than 3 years of work experience. And so they sort of lean towards a more experienced, take when they're put into capstones. Some years we have more, more than 50% that come straight from undergrad. And so they, have a different lens on life, if you will. And so that's probably the biggest difference, but they're going into user experience, they're going into UX design or UI design, or product design or product management. Like there's, a lot of times these job titles and these roles sort of go to a variety of different programs, and it really gets to, at least when I'm doing career advising, I don't know about Dina's experience per se, but a lot of times we're talking about, like, you've got to look beyond the title, you've got to look into the description and get to the meat of what you're actually going to be working on. So
thank you. And that actually led us right into the next question, Nicole. The next question is, can you give some examples of the types of jobs design and HCI students typically seek out? In the chat, I put the link to our outcomes page, just so everyone knows. The Career Center does publish student reported outcomes. And so if you click on that link I put in the chat, that will take you to the dashboard, and you can use it to, if you just want to look up undergrad, if you just want to look up grad, if you want to look up last year, the last 2 years, you can kind of set it up however you want to see, but it will show you common job titles, common locations, reported salaries. And so that information is in there, but I'm also going to turn it over to Nicole and Dina just for some common types of jobs that your students typically take.
Yeah, I mean, as I just mentioned a few, a lot of times, we're heading into, we'll later this afternoon, we're going to start our summer capstone experience with our students. And, many of them are finally getting their job stuff in order so they can start applying. But they're looking for user experience designer, user, interface designer, user experience researcher, product designer. A lot of times, depending on the company, they may just be a designer. Sometimes we get folks that are in our program that come with a significant design education. And so maybe they come from a visual design background. And so they are able to go into, something that they can combine some of the tech skills that they get and the research skills that they get here with those design skills, partner those with the interaction design skills that they get and leverage that for a career. And I'll let Dina talk now.
Nicole. Yes, that's usually the kind of work. I would add like more of design consultants as well, like in consultancy and firms. That's also something that the students usually get. So they don't do like user research in particular, but they work on design consultancy, which like a lot of companies now acquired a lot of design firms in-house as well. So, but they work on tech companies like UI and UX, which Nicole mentioned, in Facebook and Amazon, or startups as well.
Excellent, thank you. Any other questions? Please feel free to place them in the chat. And in the meantime, I know there's been some helpful links put in there too. So everyone, please go ahead and grab those and click on those. We will be following up with some communication afterwards. So if anyone misses any of this, we will definitely be following up with it afterwards. But I just want to give the last final minutes here to anyone who has any final questions. All right, I think that we do not have any more. Nicole or Dina, any final comments or remarks that you would like to share with employers? Maybe something fun about your students that you didn't get a chance to talk about, or anything that you want to leave them with?
So this is a funny video by our marketing guy, which I shared his email here, who actually, he's like our reach out coordinator. So if you have a job ad, you can send it to him, email it to him, and everyone gets it in the school. But he also created this funny graduation celebration video with his kids, which came out this week, and shared it across the school. So I highly recommend checking it. They actually list what a design alum could do or work as. So it's a nice list instead of my list, or yeah.
I just want to say thank you for joining us today, and if there's anything that we can do to help spread the word on your company or roles or anything like that, please feel free to reach out.
Excellent. All right, well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. We're really glad that you were able to make it. And like I said, we will be following up afterwards with some outreach. So thank you again, everyone, and have a great afternoon.
Thank you very much.